I literally made a video the other day talking about the sad state of the UFC. And literally a few days later, right, the UFC does an announcement video with Dana White, and they announced UFC 291, and it is an insane card. The main card is absolutely crazy. I want to run it down through it real quick. It's just hilarious that I just made a video a few days ago, and then like a day or two later, Dana White goes on YouTube and announces this fight card. With the main event obviously being Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier for the BMF belt. I have my thoughts about the BMF belt. I'm like conflicted about it because at the time when the BMF belt was introduced, I enjoyed, just it was just a spectacle at that point, really, to be honest with you. Because you had two guys who's been in the game for years. I mean, you had Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz, who were guys who have been a part of the UFC for such a long time and had successful careers. Well, not to the point where they were champions, but, where they pretty much became some of the bigger names in the sport. You know what I mean? Especially with Jorge Masvidal later in his career in 2019, he pretty much revived his career. And this fight happened, and at the time, I thought it was pretty cool. It was an interesting fight. Obviously, Jorge Masvidal got the W on that. And then, obviously, I think the reason why people completely shit all over that title, in my honest opinion, is because of what happened after Jorge Masvidal won the title. If Jorge Masvidal would have went on and became a UFC champion and done, I just have won the UFC championship, right? Everybody be looking at that title, I feel like, completely different. But we obviously saw what happened to the career of Jorge Masvidal after that victory. He went on to lose, I believe it was 4 straight times, I believe. He lost to Kamaru Usman twice, then he lost to Colby Covington, and then he lost to Gilbert Burns. Obviously, it wasn't great for Jorge Masvidal. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. That's what happens. I'm conflicted because, yes, the title really doesn't mean anything, to be honest with you. It's two guys who are probably not good enough to win the championship fighting for a cheap title. You know what I mean? That's what it looks like to me. Dustin Poirier, who has come very close, and obviously the same thing with Justin Gaethje, who's come very close. They were both interim champions, but they never got to that level to become the world champion. But hey, I mean, listen, this doesn't need a title. This doesn't need a BMF title. But I'll give you one reason, though, why I like the BMF belt being on the line. Like, one reason, it's not like a huge reason, to be honest with you, because I'd rather just them not fight for that title. It's just kind of meaningless. Like, unless you're defending the title, it really doesn't make any sense. But the reason why I like it is because Jorge Masvidal just retired, and he was the guy who first won the BMF championship. Now, whoever wins this championship, I guess, they will be the BMF champion until they retire. And then whenever they retire, then it will be the next two guys, whoever that may be, will fight for the BMF championship. That kind of sounds like a cool concept in a way, but still, at the end of the day, the BMF championship means close to nothing. It's literally just a participation trophy at this point. But just in case you Dustin Poirier, it's a great fight. Early predictions, a lot of people have been picking Justin Gaethje because he trains with Team Elevation, and I went at first when I saw the fight got announced, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go with Dustin Poirier, because Dustin Poirier, obviously, I think he's a better striker than Justin Gaethje, and obviously we saw what happened in their last fight, even though that was years ago. Justin Gaethje completely just dominated, especially in the last round when he finished Justin Gaethje, he dominated him. You know what I mean? But obviously it's a lot different. Justin Gaethje is a different fighter. Well, not really, kind of, but not really. But obviously they're fighting in Salt Lake City, Utah, and obviously that affected a lot of people in the last fight card with Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman. That fight card, everybody got affected. Like Jose Aldo got affected, and obviously Leon Edwards got affected by that as well. And, Justin Gaethje, training at Team Elevation, where they're kind of used to this environment, that's definitely going to help Justin Gaethje. Now I have Justin Gaethje winning, and I think that he might get the finish. He might be able to get the finish, but I'm not entirely sure. We will have to see how Dustin Poirier fights in Salt Lake City. If he gets gassed early, if he's gassed in the first 2 rounds, then it might be over for Dustin Poirier early on, and it might be like a 3rd or 4th round finish for Justin Gaethje. The other fight that was named that I think I'm a little bit more excited for is Alex Pereira's debut at light heavyweight, which I did talk about. I made a video about the road to Alex Pereira. If you want to check that out, it's on my channel if you want to check it out. And I might even like link it somewhere, so if you guys want to watch it. And one of the guys that I thought he was going to fight at some point was Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz is a great fighter. He's one of the more well-rounded guys in the division. Obviously, he was the former light heavyweight champion. And he's a great fighter. This is a super tough matchup for Alex Pereira. Like, really bad matchup for him as well. Like, he will have to get him out early, in my opinion, to win this fight. I think Jan Blachowicz wins this. I think he uses his grappling. He tires him out. And I think it goes to decision. It's only a 3-round fight. So I think it goes to decision. And I think Jan Blachowicz wins. That's my early prediction. This is a quick turnaround for Alex Pereira after just getting knocked out like literally, what, 1-2 months ago? Like literally 2 months ago he got knocked out. So this is, I think it's too much of a quick turnaround in my honest opinion for Alex Pereira. And I think that's going to hurt him big time. And I think he will lose the fight. I thought that he could have possibly fought like a Johnny Walker. Or he could have fought obviously a Volkan Ozdemir. You know, somebody like that. Because, you know, you're just getting into the division. You know what I mean? I understand that you're number 1 at middleweight. But, you know, this is a completely new division. I understand with Izzy, he went to fight the champion to become double champ. But he was the champion. This guy's just a number 1 contender in middleweight. I feel like you, especially with Alex Pereira, you got to kind of give him like you can give him a top 10 guy, but don't give him like somebody like a Jan Blachowicz right away. You know, that's kind of like, you gotta wait for that fight to happen. You know what I mean? You gotta give him some time, especially in Salt Lake City, Utah, where his stamina could be completely just compromised. You know what I mean? And yeah, that would not be. I don't think it goes well for Alex Pereira. I think Alex Pereira loses to Jan Blachowicz. I think Jan Blachowicz wins. I don't know what he does after. Maybe he gets a title fight after that, because he just beat like one of the more scarier guys in all of the UFC, and a guy who. We don't know how he's going to be at light heavyweight, and we don't know if Alex Pereira loses, what does he do after this? I have no idea. My guess is that he goes back down to 185 and possibly fights, you know, a top guy in that division, a top 5 guy, I'm assuming. If he does lose to Jan Blachowicz. If he wins, I mean, he might get a title shot. I think that definitely warrants him a title shot. So yeah, I think that's a pretty interesting fight though. Kevin Holland is going to be fighting Michael Chiesa. Quick thoughts on that. I like it. I like that Holland is challenging himself and facing a wrestler. And I got him winning because I think he'll be able to catch Michael Chiesa and get a knockout. If he's able to stay on the feet, I think he's going to be able to knock him out. The thing is with Kevin Holland, we know that the takedown defense, especially at middleweight, was really like dog shit. It was terrible. It was not a good takedown defense. But this is a completely different division. This is 170 pounds. I mean, Kevin Holland is a way much bigger guy than Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa is a much smaller guy, and he's not as strong as a Derek Brunson or a Marvin Vettori, where he's just going to be able to ragdoll him. And I think it's gonna take a lot from Michael Chiesa to take him down. Will he be able to? Maybe, but probably the first round he probably might be able to get him. But I think, in my opinion, I think either first or second round, I think Holland gets the job done. I like Holland in this division. I think he does pretty good against Michael Chiesa. I think that he's going to be able to catch him at some point because that reach is there. I mean, obviously he has the huge height advantage, pretty much almost against everybody in the division. And Michael Chiesa, I don't know how he's going to be able to handle that. Obviously, he will have to use his wrestling prowess to win. But I have him losing this fight, and I think Kevin Holland goes on and probably fights. I don't know yet. Obviously, I think he probably goes on and faces maybe a top 10 guy. I don't know. I mean, we will have to see. A fight that I honestly wouldn't mind, but I feel like it will be really bad for Kevin Holland is Gilbert Burns. I don't know why. Like, if he beats Michael Chiesa, I wouldn't mind him fighting Gilbert Burns. Hey, listen, that will give Gilbert Burns plenty of time to recuperate. I mean, I don't know how much time he will need. You know, it might take a while for Gilbert Burns to recuperate from his injuries. We might not even see him fight for the rest of the year. Maybe Kevin Holland wants to fight maybe one more time after this. He might be able to fight one more time, especially if he gets a quick KO maybe in the first or second round and doesn't take too much damage. He might want to fight one more time and probably fight on a big pay-per-view, be the main event of a fight night. But yeah, I'm excited for that fight. That fight is great. Well, great just because Kevin Holland, I like Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland's an entertaining guy. Now, the fight that a lot of people are talking about too, Tony Ferguson's return versus Bobby Green. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm leaning Bobby Green. This is just so sad, the turn that Tony Ferguson. I think Kevin Lee is actually coming back, by the way. I just heard about that today. I just don't see... listen, Tony Ferguson hasn't really shown me much. Obviously, I think this might be a competitive fight. I think this probably does go... I don't know. I don't know. I think it goes to a decision, I think. Obviously, I believe his last two fights, he got submitted and then he got knocked out by Michael Chandler. Tony Ferguson, listen... He's not what he used to be. He's not like in his prime anymore. He's obviously older. I mean, Bobby Green is an older guy, but he didn't look great in his fight against Jared Gordon. But I think he'll probably do enough, in my opinion, to beat Tony. Listen, this might be a possible fight of the night, to be honest with you. I mean, it could be, but I mean, you have the main event being, Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. That's a crazy fight. But I think that fight, probably Bobby Green wins. I think Bobby Green wins. And Tony Ferguson, I think it's over for Tony Ferguson, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Listen, if he definitely loses to Bobby Green, I think it's done. I think he needs to retire because, listen, Bobby Green has a lot of output. He's gonna probably eat a lot of shots from Bobby Green, and if that's the case, I think it might be over for Tony Ferguson. As we know, as a UFC fighter, as an MMA fighter, I think he should retire after this if he does lose this fight, and especially he gets takes a lot of heavy shots in this fight too from Bobby Green, and he takes let's say for example over 100 significant strikes. I think it's over. So yeah, that's how I really feel. And we also got out. By the way, before I end the video, Aljamain Sterling is going to be fighting Sean O'Malley in Boston. That's a pretty interesting fight, but I still got Aljamain Sterling. I just don't think that Sean O'Malley has to take down the fence to be able to compete with Aljamain, and I think Aljamain might be able to submit him or finish him on the ground in some sort of way. And I think it's over for Sean O'Malley. Sadly, that's how I really feel. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. The UFC finally cooked, and I can't wait for these upcoming fights. We will have to wait for a while, though. That's the thing. We will have to wait until after the next UFC pay-per-view card, which is absolutely awful with Amanda Nunes and Aldana, whatever the fuck her name is. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys soon with another video. Please like the video if you did enjoy. That will help the algorithm. That will help people see my channel. Thank you guys so much. Peace.